This is Cranky the Skeleton signing on. Happy Halloween. All right, everybody, welcome back to TobattoVision. It is October 31st, 2025, which means it's also
Halloween!
Which also means it's time for the return of the third annual, in fact, TobattoVision Halloween Special, specifically the TobattoVision Halloween Special 3. Let's begin. So if you guys watched any of our holiday specials from last year, I think the first time we talked about this was in the TobattoVision Thanksgiving Feast, and we followed up with another segment in the Krampus Party special from last year, where we talk about how Isabella accidentally grew a pumpkin in our front yard, and it grew, and we showed the stages of development. Well, lo and behold, earlier this year in 2025, I think it was January or February, we were able to harvest one huge pumpkin from the vine that Isabella accidentally grew herself, right, didn't you, Goober?
Yeah.
And with that said, the pumpkin, we tried to make it last until at least August or September. I think it made it to July because we had fireworks in the house when we finally carved it, but it started to show signs of rot and decomposition, so we had to carve it, unfortunately, but it was very cool nonetheless, right, Goober?
Right.
So with all that said, this pumpkin that we're going to showcase now, we showcased us carving the thing and putting smoke bombs in it at the end. This is the pumpkin that Isabella grew herself accidentally in the front yard.
Well, when my nana was taking out pumpkin seeds of pumpkins, some pumpkin seeds went down the drain and they went into the front yard, and then a vine started growing there, and it was actually a pumpkin, and it was growing bigger every day.
And it was awesome, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you should try to accidentally grow a pumpkin again this year. Let's dive in. So So in 2009, I was able to visit the grave of the infamous painter Bob Ross, R.I.P., probably one of the coolest painters on the planet, right, Goober?
Yeah.
She likes Bob Ross too. We've been showing her the videos, and she's a huge fan. But this year, we were able to visit his grave again. He's buried at Woodlawn Cemetery, which is in Agatha, Florida. I think it's what it's called. It's like a suburb of Orlando, basically. And it was very cool. She got to see his grave, pay her respects. Her and her sister left some Halloween rocks, sort of as a commemoration or as a memorial to Bob Ross, if you will. We got some cool footage, some cool photos, and it was very cool. But unfortunately, I noticed that the copper squirrel, I think it was, what is it called? Peanut the pocket squirrel. The copper statue was missing. So I don't know if the family maybe took it or if somebody stole it, but it was not there, unfortunately. So, yeah.
And you can see the circle where it was. It's white.
Yeah, you can see where it was at. And here's some footage showing where the squirrel was back in 2009. This is some really old footage I got of the grave way back in 2009 on DV tape. It's kind of horrible looking, but we're going to roll the footage now, the actual footage we just got of R.I.P., the man, the myth, the legend, Bob Ross himself, his grave at Woodlawn Cemetery. Ready to roll the footage?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
When it comes to Halloween season, especially Halloween season in the 1980s and the 1990s, the early 90s through the mid-90s, there are a lot of really incredible Halloween things, I guess you could say, that I just absolutely associate with the holiday, with the Halloween season today, in my old man era. I think a lot of you probably on the same page. There's a lot of movies, video, music, sound effects, items, decorations, toys, props, games, whatever. Things from Halloween season when we were kids that just Halloween season doesn't feel right today unless we have those things on display, watch them, listen to them, enjoy them, whatever. And the thing I want to talk to today specifically is old Halloween music tapes, CDs, and sound effects tapes and CDs. When I was a kid, I had a lot of Halloween sound effect cassette tapes. I'm sure a lot of you did as well. Played them on the old boom boxes, stuff like that in the early 90s. And two of the things I owned as a kid, specifically, which are on the wall right now, as you can see, I have the Chamber of Horrors cassette, the Thriller Chiller sound effects cassette, the same thing, I think, is on this compact disc. And then you have the Spooky Sounds of the Night cassette tape up here. These are the four that I currently own. I had these two as a kid. I'm pretty sure this is the same thing as this, so technically I own this as well. But they're all sort of from that same pocket of vintage spooky sound effects stuff. You don't really see this much anymore. I'm not sure if when they stopped doing it, I know towards the early to mid 2000s, you still saw a lot of these on CD especially, and you stopped seeing them on cassette. But nowadays, wherever I go, whether it be Walmart, Big Lots, Target, wherever, you just don't see these on shelves anymore. I'm not sure why. At least in my area, you don't see them. Maybe they do in your area. Let me know in the comments below if you guys still see these, but I just don't. I feel like it's a bygone era, unfortunately. Of course, now you have access to these digitally. They're all on YouTube. I've even remastered these two for YouTube. The point is, you just don't see these on shelves. So you got to go to eBay or Amazon sometimes and buy them retroactively. But the point I'm making is, Halloween back in the day just was not Halloween without listening to these kind of tapes, especially for me, these two. Great stuff. The music on them were freaky and great and charming. One of them had sort of a pseudo thriller remake. A lot of really cool and creepy sound effects. It just felt like Halloween. They were just fantastic and are fantastic. I try to play my digital versions of these every year because it really gets me into the mood for the season. But without further ado, let's take a closer look at the Chamber of Horrors cassette tape. It's still in its wrapping. I bought this off eBay a couple years ago because I lost the original cassette tape. Actually, that's not true. I might actually own this, and this still, but I think they're loose in a boxed up package somewhere. I don't know, but I think I might still own these, but I had to rebuy these obviously for posterity's sake. Is that the right word? Anyways, here it is. The Chamber of Horror, voice, sound, music, great for Halloween fun. 45 thoroughly terrifying minutes of spine-tingling sounds. Absolutely love this tape. It's fantastic. And yeah, let's continue on from there. Put the lights back up here. And let's take the Thriller Chiller. There it is. That's the other really, really, like, you want to hit me in the nostalgia feels, put on this tape or this tape. And you will have a good time. You will have a good time. A lot of these tapes, even if they were by different companies, I feel like had the same sound effects and music sometimes. So I guess they all sort of borrowed from each other. Unless it was like one big parent organization and there was like an umbrella of a bunch of little subsidiaries. But this one specifically, it looks like it comes from Fun World. So that's kind of bizarre. These ones are not from Fun World as far as I know. This one's from Ruby's. These two are from another one. I don't recognize the logo. But anyways, yeah, good stuff. This is the other nostalgic piece of Halloween music. And yeah, I just love this stuff. I mean, it's just, there's something so... I got to make a TobattoVision mix of creepy sound effects and old school style music that I'll make myself and put it together as like a cassette tape release. That would be cool, wouldn't it? But yeah, let me know in the comments below your guys' memories and experiences with all these Halloween sound effects, CDs, cassette tapes, maybe even vinyl for some of you. And let me know if they hit you in the nostalgic feels like they do to me.
Oh, no, it's not fake. How you doing? No, seriously, look, because look, this is an old picture. They're celebrating 35 years. That's how I know it's not fake. Yes!
Another thing the Tobatto clan likes to do every Halloween season is go to a thing called Boo at the Zoo at our local zoo, which is awesome, isn't it, Isabella?
Yeah.
The kids get to go there and dress up, they get candy, we see all the animals, it's a blast. It's basically the zoo on steroids. It's basically the zoo, you walk around, you sweat to death, and you get free candy. It's awesome, isn't it, Goober?
Yeah.
We went 3 times this year, and the last time we were there, I got a bunch of footage from it. Isabella got her face painted, we got candy. Mia did one of her first or second full-length trick-or-treating sessions. It was awesome. So let's roll the footage of the 2025 Brevard Zoo's Boo at the Zoo event. Ready?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yep.
Hi. Hi.
Is it trick or treat?
Hello.
Hi. Can I see my pen?
Depends on people how people set their card up. If they set it up, sometimes.
Watch your head the other way a little. Nope, the other way.
Considering my little friend on my own here, but at least he's busy hanging with me instead of picking up the fields.
Oh, look at this one.
What do you think, Cameron?
Oh, you have a bag? Here's another one.
Say thank you, Mia.
She's my little sister.
In there. There you go. Parents too, because everybody's a kid. I don't know. We're gonna
Thank you.
Okay, let's go for the clients. They might be in somewhere else. Okay. This is like the highlight of my day. This is one thing I Good job. You know, like, you know my favorite.
Nice.
What's that dog?
So thank you.
Bye-bye.
What are those, Mia? Come on.
Sometimes I dream of metal tool sheds. Oh, how I long to go to an empty mall and sit down on the tile floor and think about weird metal sheds. Because I am a metal robot.
So for all you horror fanatics out there, and I've been a horror fanatic since I was a kid, I want to go over a specifically cool book today that is called Men, Makeup, and Monsters. It is a book that covers, as it says, Hollywood's masters of illusion and effects. In Books A Million when I was a kid in the mid-90s, it tripped me out because for one thing, the book was in the title was in a super like highlighter yellow font on top of a green background with Jeff Goldblum's The Fly image on the cover, among others. So it really just tripped me out and totally caught my attention. It's by Anthony Timpone, the editor of Fangoria magazine, at least he was. I'm not sure if he still is today. Not even sure if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. And it has a foreword by Clive Barker. In the mid-90s, I think I was turning either 9 or 10. I saw this in Books A Million. I asked my grandma to get it for me for my birthday, and she did. So this is a very cool birthday present. This is the original pressing, the original version that I had from my birthday. I've kept it in fairly good condition. There's no big creases or tears or folds anywhere. It sort of seems almost brand new, but I've treasured this for almost 30 years at this point. Fantastic book, maybe even 30 years at this point. Fantastic book, great stuff. It's got a lot of cool behind-the-scenes stuff about makeup effects work, animatronic works, all horror movies, at least horror adjacent movies. Makeup effects works, animatronic works, silicone, latex, props, prosthetics, different filmmakers, different movies, different eras, different makeup effects artists at work. A lot of really cool black and white photos and really high resolution. Like you could probably scan a lot of these and have some really, really good high resolution black and white photos. Really, really, really cool stuff, man. There's Gorillas in the Mist right there with Sigourney Weaver. Got Stan Winston and an endoskeleton. A lot of really, really good stuff. You have a xenomorph right there from Aliens. A lot of really cool high-resolution photos, black and white. Again, don't buy this just for the photos. There's a lot of really good verbiage. I've read all, if not most, of this book across the years. There's a little stat from Interview with the Vampire, and it is second to none in the information you get from it and the knowledge you get from it and the insight from all these different makeup effects artists and filmmakers and all that stuff. It covers so many cool movies and properties and IPs. It's fantastic. You will love this book. You will not regret owning this book at all. It is fantastic. Look, you got Al Pacino as Big Boy right there. Oh, there he is. You got Prune Face from Dick Tracy as well right there. I mean, it's just, dude, it's so good. It is so good. Remember that nightmare feel? Oof. But yeah, I highly recommend Freaked, section about Freaked. Good stuff. There is a color section here with color images, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. There's The Fly again. Here it is. So it's got a really cool color section in the middle. Finger over this one, because otherwise the video might get taken down. There we go. There's that. See Bride of Reanimator and stuff like that. Friday the 13th, Batman Returns, Species, Al Pacino as Big Boy, and obviously I can't show you the rest of that photo because it's explicit for YouTube standards, obviously. Some more color photos here. You got stuff like Night of the Living Dead remake, The Blob, I see The Fly again, Ghostbusters, all that stuff. Great stuff. Looks like the Crypt Keeper right here. That's a really cool photo. I should scan some of these photos in high resolution. But really, really cool stuff, man. You got Pinhead. Oh, you got Flat Top Jones, the best Dick Tracy villain of all time. See more Freaked stuff. See Sleepwalkers right here. Chucky. great stuff. More stuff right there, more Fly stuff, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, among others. It's just a great book. If you love deep dives into horror, special effects work, behind-the-scenes stuff, you will dig this book. And I want to know if you guys already own this book or if you've seen this book before. I want to know in the comments below what you think of this book and was it worth the buy. I truly think it is, and I'm so glad to still have this. I'm glad I didn't wreck it or ruin it over the years. I'm just so stoked to still own this, and although it's not a kid's book or a Halloween book or a spooky book for spooky season per se, it's still one of those books that you could read during the Halloween season and be perfectly in the vibe, in the mood for Halloween season. It is so awesome. And if you're a fanatic of horror like I am, which most of you watching this channel probably are, you will love this book. I highly recommend you buy it, get it off eBay, Amazon, whatever you have to do, and let me know what you think of it, because it is just, it's, I've been rambling long enough about it, but it's so fantastic and so good. Buy it. I don't know about you guys, but to me, the Plague Doctor visage is one of the things I associate most with the Halloween season. It represents death, scariness, horrifying events, scary visuals, the perfect combination of everything visual that aligns with the All Hallows Eve holiday. And with that said, did you know that this image of the Plague Doctor is technically not historically accurate? Let me explain.
We all know the image. The long black cloak, the leather gloves, the round glass eyes staring from a pale, bird-like mask with a beak full of mystery. A figure that stalks through art, video games, and Halloween costumes as the personification of death itself. The Plague Doctor. But here's the truth. That image is almost entirely a work of fiction. The real plague doctors of Europe's first Black Death in the 14th century did not look like this at all. In fact, we have no clear evidence of what they looked like. None. The famous beak mask that everyone associates with the Middle Ages didn't even exist yet. That image came 300 years later, during the 17th century. So where did it come from? The first real descriptions of that iconic outfit appear around 1619 with Charles Delorme, physician to King Louis XIII of France. Delorme claimed to have designed a full-body protective outfit made of waxed Moroccan leather. Coat, breeches, gloves, hat, and a strange mask with a half-foot-long beak. The idea wasn't symbolic, it was practical. People believed disease traveled through miasma, poisoned air carried by bad smells. The beak was stuffed with herbs, flowers, and vinegar-soaked sponges to purify the air before it was breathed in. The wide-brimmed hat, that was their badge of office. The cane, a way to examine patients and keep the desperate at a distance. And that long coat, sealed with wax or oil, helped keep away fleas, the true carriers of plague. For all its superstition, it was actually one of the earliest forms of personal protective equipment in medicine. But here's the thing. For all the legends and pop culture depictions, only 3 authentic plague masks are known to exist in the world. All 3 are housed in German museums, the Deutsches Historisches Museum in Berlin, the Riese Sangerhorn Museum in Mannheim, and the Deutsches Medizinhistorisches Museum in Ingolstadt. Each appears to be genuine, unsurprising given their provenance, but they can only be broadly dated to the 17th century. All 3 masks share the same distinctive features: stiff, dark leather construction, rounded glass eyepieces, and a sharply curved beak-like nose reminiscent of a crow's. The Riese Engelhorn specimen stands out slightly, featuring a flatter goggle section than the others, though its overall design remains largely the same. And that's the real twist. The white mask we recognize today, smooth, theatrical, and hauntingly elegant, didn't come from the plague at all. It came from Venice. The so-called Medico della Peste, the Plague Doctor, was born not in the hospitals of Europe, but in the Carnival of Venice as part of Commedia dell'arte. There, the mask was made of papier-mâché, painted white, and worn not by physicians, but by actors and revelers. It was theater, a caricature of death. And from there, the line blurred. Satirical drawings, political cartoons, and carnival characters all merged into one enduring image, half history, half imagination, until the beaked doctor became a symbol of the Black Death itself. But historically, it never walked the streets of medieval Europe. In fact, there's no evidence that the beaked mask was used during the original Black Death of the 14th century. During the original Black Death, doctors and healers typically wore their everyday garments without any specialized gear to shield them from the disease. The distinctive bird-like mask design didn't appear until much later, during 17th century plague outbreaks. So, when you see that iconic figure today, the gleaming white mask, the dark robes, the empty glass eyes, remember, you're not looking at history. You're looking at a costume, a performance. And when you compare these costumes to the real thing, you realize how much more bizarre reality really is when compared to fiction.
Anyways. Hey Ray, we're at the Kiss concert. How are you feeling?
Well, besides the fact I got my wisdom teeth filling out, I'm feeling pretty good with these pills and drinking. I'm feeling really excited right now. I'm really fucked up. Let's go.
You know this is gonna be all over YouTube and stuff, right?
I am fucked up, and you gotta visit Marathon Terror Nights because it is the shit.
Isabella, did you know that you were in a video game?
No.
Yeah, you were. You fought Sonny the Vampire in it.
Oh.
And you lost.
What?
Yeah, let's take a look.
Okay.
Ever since I was a kid, there's been a certain amount of old school Halloween props, animatronics, items, decorations that I've absolutely loved and associated with the Halloween season. In fact, if I don't have these items up and around my house every season, it just doesn't feel like Halloween. These are staples of my childhood, staples of, I think, a lot of people's childhoods from the late 80s, early 90s through the mid 90s, at least as far as Halloween season goes. And today I really wanted to showcase one of those items, one of the most important, I guess you could say, Halloween items of old that I've had. I actually had this when I was a kid. I think we actually had two different types, but they got lost in moves over the shuffle of the years. So with that said, I went on eBay a year or two ago, probably closer to 3 years ago at this point, I guess, maybe longer. And I bought one off eBay in working condition in the original box. The animated and illuminated display figure of the witch. At least one of the witches that you could buy. There was a couple of variations of this witch by the same company, I believe. On the side here, you see these two other figures available, the pumpkin and the, I guess he's sort of like a vampire. Yes, it says Dracula. I don't remember having these, but I remember seeing these in stores. for sure. And on the back, you see another one. There's a Frankenstein's monster kind of thing. And then there's the witch that's inside this box. I remember there being a rocking chair witch, I believe, and like 2 or 3 other different types of witches. I'm not sure if they're by the same company or not, but they were all pretty much iconography of late 80s, early 90s Halloween. Am I right? But this is the specific one that I had as a kid. I don't think we had the others. But I love this. I'm so glad to own it. It works. We bring it out every Halloween season. For the first couple years of Isabella's life, she was afraid of this thing. So I guess I have had this for about 5 years now. And the last year or two, she's been stoked to have it. So there she goes. But let's take her out of the box and show her off because she is absolutely, as lame as it sounds, she is a magical piece of Halloween history as far as I'm concerned. Especially to still have the box and have her in working condition. It's just awesome. So here she is. Put her right here on the desk. I'll move her in a second. There's the hat. Excellent. And here is her broom, which according to the box, she should hold it like in her hand. So let's put the broom in her hand like this. Sort of fits in there. The hands seem to be sort of like a soft rubber. There she goes. There she goes. Some of you guys can see that really well. Yeah. There she is. So creepy. So spooky. So absolutely Halloween. At least to me. Did you guys have one of these as a kid? I remember there being the Frankenstein, the Dracula, the pumpkin guy. There was a lot more variations of the witch. Like I said, there was a rocking chair one. She's been in different costumes with different things in her hands over the years. But this is the one that we owned. A fantastic little piece of 80s, 90s horror history. And yeah, let's put some batteries in her and turn her on so you guys can see what she does. I always try to take the batteries out of these things every year because you don't want these things leaking. You don't want these things to corrode in there and then have the whole thing not work anymore because that would just stink. So always take the batteries out when you store these things so you can continue to use these things each and every year. Looks like this is from Telco. All right, so here she is. Are you ready? In 3, 2, 1. Here's just the light mode. She's a little bit rumbly. She's, 30 plus years old. But here is the, are you ready for this? The classic Halloween sound she also does. I'm not sure if her eyes will still light up, but let's try it. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Fantastic. Let's turn her off. Save the batteries for later. Fantastic. So I just wanted to show her off to you guys. Share this little piece of Halloween nostalgia that I just can't get enough of every year. Halloween just isn't Halloween without this witch on the shelf. I would like to collect the other ones as well, but this is definitely the childhood piece from that collection that I needed to own again. I just needed to own again. So here she is. I grew up trick-or-treating. I'm not a huge fan of the concept of trunk-or-treating. You like trunk-or-treat though, right?
Yeah.
She likes it. We do trunk-or-treat several times every Halloween season. I'm just not a huge fan. I feel like it's sort of destroyed traditional trick-or-treat, like where you go to people's houses door to door, you knock, you get candy, you leave. If the light's off, you don't go up there. If the light is off and you go up there, you risk getting scared to death by somebody behind the window. But I think you enjoy trunk-or-treat probably more than traditional trick-or-treat, because she has done traditional trick-or-treating before, right?
Yep.
Yeah, with Theo, you guys have went door to door, but what do you prefer? Do you like going door to door? Do you like trunk or treat? Or do you like the way we do it down the street where you just walk down everybody's driveway and there's people already set up there in tables handing out candy? What do you think?
I like the trick or treating where we go with Theo, my cousin.
So the door to door.
Yeah, door to door.
To be eternal is to savor the world in all its fleeting beauty. I walk the night, but cherish the sunlight. Its warmth a reminder of life's brilliance. My hunger does not bind me. I see the joy, the wonder, the fire in mortal lives. Immortality is no curse. It is a chance to witness the endless miracle of existence and the miracle of blood.
For those of you wanting to carve a really cool Halloween foam pumpkin, one of those craft pumpkins that you can get from Hobby Lobby, Michael's, Crafts and Stuff, whatever it is, this is a really cool tutorial video I made on how to do the Halloween 6 jack-o'-lantern, the infamous Halloween 6 jack-o'-lantern, as close as I could. I think it's a good guide to show you sort of the basics of how you can do the same thing. And this process will work with any pumpkin, any jack-o'-lantern variant you want to do. It includes a foam pumpkin, a hot knife, permanent marker, and a little bit of time and effort on your part. So with that said, let's dive into the process, shall we?
Yeah.
Okay. Happy Halloween season, everyone. Today I'm going to show you how to make the jack-o'-lantern from Halloween 6, aka Halloween the Curse of Michael Myers. This will be a do-it-yourself tutorial, so I'm going to be using fast methods and cheap materials to achieve what I think turned out to be a fantastic end product. There are probably many better ways to perfect this process, and I invite you all to help us refine the method in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and enjoy. Here we have a medium-sized craft pumpkin bought at Michael's craft store for 50% off the tagged price, but you can use any brand of carvable craft pumpkin you like, and any size for that matter. I'm simply using this size for screen accuracy. You're going to want a hot knife for carving through the rigid foam of the pumpkin, but a finely serrated knife would also work, as would a Dremel tool, but I find the hot knife to be much more effective and of course, faster. You are also going to need a marker. Doesn't matter if it's permanent or not, nor what color. It will simply be for tracing our jack-o'-lantern face. Start by drawing your face based off the Halloween 6 jack-o'-lantern, of course. I'm looking at a movie still of the pumpkin on my computer as I sit at my desk and try as hard as possible to match it. You don't have to be a fantastic artist to do this, you just have to get as close an approximation as possible. After you finish your design, it's time to plug in our hot knife, let it heat up, and begin carving away, being sure to remain just on the outskirts of our design to ensure all the marker is gone with the removal of the carved pieces. Also, be careful with said hot knife or whatever instrument you're using. Me using a sharp object so close to my body as I'm doing here probably isn't the best example, so please keep that in mind. After the face is fully carved, cut and remove the stem as you would a regular real-life jack-o'-lantern, and then we are ready to move on to the next step. It's time to get into paints. I'm using cheap acrylic paints for this DIY, but you can use whatever type you want, of course. It doesn't really matter as long as the colors are correct. We're going to be using brown, yellow, orange, and black, but we'll start with brown. Dribble some of the brown onto a paper towel and begin blotting the pumpkin, making it look dirty, dingy, and freshly picked from the pumpkin patch. This griming up stage is absolutely optional if you want your pumpkin to remain pristine and shiny looking. However, I enjoy this look. After you've finished blotting it brown, it's time to blot it yellow, repeating the same process again until you've coated the entirety of the form. Repeat the process again with orange, and you'll be left with a perfectly gritty and grimy jack-o'-lantern, but we are still far from done. This is again an optional step, but I wasn't a fan of how pristinely clean and yellow the inside of the gourd was, nor the shade of yellow itself, so I painted the inside with 2 coats of acrylic black. See how menacing that looks? If I were not going to be placing an LED candle inside for effect, I'd leave the inside of the jack-o'-lantern black and the process from here would be complete. But since I do want to light it up, leaving him jet black simply doesn't work. As you see here when I place the candle inside, the black eats all of the reflecting light. Using yellow, dab 1 thin layer atop the black with a brush, and you're left with a dingy, unclean looking inside, and is exactly the effect I was looking for. Be sure not to forget the interiors of the carved face either when executing the process for the pumpkin's interior. The eyes, nose, and mouth all need the same black and yellow treatment. Also, if you want to get real funky, water down some of your black and orange paint mixed together and dribble it down the lines of the pumpkin and blot dry. This will give them deeper and darker shades and really bring out the pumpkin's depth and shape. Optional though, of course. Now that your interiors and exteriors are fully painted and dry, it's time to glue in our candle. Please do not attempt to use a real candle. You'll only end up burning your house down and blaming me for it. So please, please, please only use an LED candle. I hot glue the center of the top and then place in my LED candle sideways, being sure that the battery compartment is accessible enough away from the glue in order to change out the battery when needed. Once you're glued, you're ready to go. Turn out the lights, turn on the candle, and you've now got yourself a DIY Halloween 6 jack-o'-lantern for less than 20 bucks. And remember, this process will work for other jack-o'-lanterns as well, for any shape and size, for any carvable craft pumpkin, and with any other design as well. Just repeat the steps accordingly, and you'll be good to go. Thanks for watching, everyone. Be sure to film your results and link me to them. I want to see your finished products. Happy Halloween, everyone.
Hey, everybody. Pinky the Skeleton here. Hope you're all having a great Halloween. I'm just chilling like a villain, just a pink freak with tricks and treats.
So with all the craziness of 2025, there is some very happy news to report if you haven't heard it already. We are getting ready to have our 3rd baby. That's right, Isabella and Mia will both be big sisters. Isabella, big sister for the 2nd time around, and Mia, big sister for the 1st time around. We are expecting our 3rd baby sometime in spring of 2026, either late May or early June. Or excuse me, late April or early May. That's what they said. But yeah, baby number 3 is on the way. So with that said, smoke a cigar for your boy, drink a large pumpkin ale, and watch Jason Lives as we celebrate the coming 3rd child of the Tobatto clan. So about 20 years ago, I came upon an abandoned house in the middle of the woods, a very creepy, spooky place. Luckily, my friends Tom and Dave were with me to inspect the place. We went upstairs, we got footage, it was insane. It smelled gross, it looked gross, it felt haunted, it felt wrong. It felt like there was eyes on us all around the place, but the footage is awesome. It's grainy, it's old, it's digitally distorted because it was shot on DV tape, but I figured it was cool enough to pull out of the bins of the past and showcase it for you all here in TobattoVision's Halloween Special 3. Let's go. Was the camera bothering you?
You know me, I'm not a camera person.
Right.
But if we're on YouTube, hey, who gives a shit?
I'm just gonna stand here and stare at you with the camera then.
Hey y'all, this is Orlok the Skeleton, wishing you the spookiest of Halloweens. I haven't had much luck with candy tonight. Pinky and Cranky have been hoarding all the Snickers. Phantasm Ravager is better than Halloween Ends.
Mummy books. When I was a kid, ever since the mid to early 90s, I had a super obsession, infatuation, and interest in mummies from all over the world, not just Egypt, but Sicily, other places in Europe, Asia, all kinds of different types of mummies. I don't know what it was. I was just fascinated by the process, them being found, documented, the whole mummy shebang. I was just infatuated by it. So in the 90s, a good chunk of my 90s was populated by my interest in mummies, and my obsession with extraterrestrial aliens, and my existential crisis from watching the movie Nostradamus in school for some reason, elementary no less. And I've had a deep-seated fear of nuclear war ever since that point in time. But anyway, I'm getting off the subject. I'm rambling. I'm stuttering because my mind is working too fast. I want to talk about the Eyewitness Books Mummy Book. Do you guys remember these books? Eyewitness books were sort of an informational kids series of books that were sort of like... they had all kinds of stuff. Like, look at the back. They have Africa, Arms and Armor, Aztec, Castle, Cat, all kinds of cool stuff. Informational books for kids. These were everywhere when I was a kid. Walden Books, Books A Million. I'm sure they were probably in Barnes & Noble and Walmart. But this is the first book I got on mummies. The same exact book I've had since the 90s. I got this when I was either 7, 8, or 9. I think my grandma got it for me. And I've been mind blown by it ever since. It's got stuff from mummies from Egypt. Obviously, most of the book is probably Egyptian mummies. You have stuff from Asia, China, mummies found in bogs in Europe, Norway, different kind of states of preservation, I guess you could say, different versions, sarcophaguses, tombs, actual photos of mummies, really, really bizarre stuff. Really interesting stuff from around the world. You have stuff about scarab beetles, heavy interest in the stuff, but I was a little bit taken aback too because some of these images are just nightmare fuel. Like, these are real images of mummies in here. And it just totally blew my mind as a kid. Because I was like, wow, it wasn't scary per se, but I could see how a lot of kids probably were scared by images in this book. Because, I mean, they're real. It's real imagery. It's not fake. It's real stuff. And it's just incredibly, maybe frightening is the wrong word. But it has stuff about, mummy movie stuff here too, obviously. So some of it is fake. But some of it's very real. You know what I mean? Like, this stuff's all real, man. It's a preserved alligator. It's so bizarre that these were kids' informational books. And it's important to be educated, obviously. It's important to know history. But it's just something so bizarre about looking at pictures of mummies to me that I can't express it in words, which is why I'm rambling again. But I think everybody out there watching can pick up what I'm trying to put down here. Like, these are books, these are pictures of actual mummies. And again, I wasn't scared of these, but I was mind blown. But like, look at this mummy. Look at that. Like, I could totally see kids being afraid of these mummies and shrunken heads. You know what I mean? Like, here's the Iceman. Like, these are scary. This is scary imagery, man. Like, a kid would be, I could see like a 3 or 4 year old going through this book and being totally traumatized. Like, that's crazy stuff, right? Am I right? It's just crazy. Like, here's the Sicilian mummies from Palermo, from the Capuchin catacombs. I've got to go visit there eventually. But yeah, this is all the Capuchin catacombs in Sicily. Really, really interesting stuff. I've been totally mind blown by it for a long time. There's Papua New Guinea, the guy who purposely had his head mummified. All kinds of stuff, man. I've been totally fascinated by it forever. There's the John Torrington corpse that was found in ice. There's the Tolland man. Crazy stuff. Really weird book. Did you guys own this as a kid? Because I did. And it totally blew my mind then, and it blows my mind now. Again, my mummy infatuation was very real, and it's still real now because it's very interesting.
Hello, everybody. Today, I'm going to show off the pictures that my dad told me to make. So first, I'm going to show off the zombie one. 3, 2, 1. It just looks like an ordinary zombie. But then, do you see this? You're going to flip it open. It looks like it's going to eat you, right? Now second, we're going to do the devil. 3, 2, 1. It just looks like an ordinary devil. But first, 3, 2, 1. Rah! Looks like it's gonna eat you again! Okay, that one's done. Now finally. The witch! It just looks like an ordinary witch. But now... Rah! Okay. Bye, everybody.
You know, there are several things that keep me awake at night. One of which is knowing that the epic failure of a film called Jaws 3D. Now, I know a lot of you love that movie, but it's an epic failure, let's be honest. The epic failure of Jaws 3D is what killed any chance of a remake of The Creature from the Black Lagoon in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. Let's talk about it. In the early 1980s, Universal Pictures found itself in a peculiar place. The studio that had built its name on monsters, Dracula, Frankenstein, the Wolfman, and the eerie Gillman from Creature from the Black Lagoon was now chasing blockbusters. Audiences were hungry for spectacle. Star Wars, Close Encounters, E.T., and in that moment of cinematic transition, Universal wanted its own creature feature reborn for a new generation. That project was a 3D remake of Creature from the Black Lagoon, spearheaded by producer John Landis, and guided by the original 1954 director Jack Arnold. The plan was ambitious. Use the newest 3D technology to immerse audiences directly into the eerie, underwater world of the Gillman. It was meant to blend nostalgia with innovation, a revival of Universal's monster legacy, using the same stereoscopic thrills that were sweeping the early 80s box office. But Hollywood has a way of turning opportunity into conflict. At the same time Landis and Arnold were developing Creature, Universal had another aquatic monster in motion, the third entry in the Jaws franchise. That film, Jaws 3D, was marketed as a bold reinvention, a return to terror, this time leaping off the screen. Universal executives were nervous about releasing two 3D creature films under the same banner. They feared audience confusion, market fatigue, and, most of all, competition within their own slate. So the choice was made. Between the two projects, Jaws was the proven moneymaker. Creature, though beloved, hadn't been on screen since the 1950s. Universal shelved the Gillman's comeback and threw its full weight behind Jaws 3D. That decision would prove costly. As production on Jaws 3 dragged on, its budget grew and its direction faltered. The film struggled under the limitations of early 3D technology, bulky cameras, awkward compositions, and effects that looked more like novelties than natural thrills. By the time it hit theaters in 1983, audiences weren't impressed. Critics panned it, viewers laughed at it, and the short-lived 3D revival that had surged through the early 80s suddenly looked like a bad investment. For Universal, the financial disappointment of Jaws 3D sent a clear message: 3D creature movies were not the future. The studio lost faith not only in the format, but in the idea of resurrecting Creature from the Black Lagoon anytime soon. It wasn't just postponed, it was buried. Over the next several years, the project floated through Hollywood in various forms, always promising but never materializing. In the mid-1980s, Joe Dante, fresh off Gremlins, took his turn at the helm. Dante, along with producer Mike Finnell, had a creative vision that blended humor, horror, and reverence for the Universal monster tradition. But the timing couldn't have been worse. The industry had cooled on monster remakes, and the studio's focus had shifted toward more commercial properties. Dante's version stalled before cameras could roll, joining a growing list of unrealized creature reboots that would, over the decade, attract names like John Carpenter, Peter Jackson, and even Guillermo del Toro, who would later channel his love for the Gillman into The Shape of Water. But if you trace the history back to the beginning, to the single moment when the momentum was lost, it always comes back to Jaws 3. In a strange way, the Gillman never had a chance. The very film meant to ride the same wave of technology and spectacle instead capsized the dream entirely. Every few years, rumors of a creature from the Black Lagoon revival resurface, and each time, fans wonder what might have been if Universal had chosen differently in 1982. And somewhere, in the dark depths of Universal's archives, that unrealized script still lingers, silent, suspended, and waiting for the right current to finally bring it back to life. So we were shooting a zombie short film years ago. We were lucky enough to gain access to an old pharmacy in town as they were switching locations, and the place was decrepit, empty, filled with certain things still, but sort of empty, abandoned, dusty, gross. And underneath all the shelves where the shelves used to be, you could see cigarette butts on the ground from where they used to smoke in there back in the, I guess, 50s or 60s or 70s, whatever it was. But it was a crazy, creepy good time. And with that said, let's take a look at this old footage of that very event. Let's go. Isabella, are you a fan of Wario?
Maybe?
Do you think Wario is scary, or do you think he's funny and stupid?
Funny and stupid.
I don't know, that original commercial they played back in the 90s, way before you were alive and existed, used to kind of scare me as a kid, but maybe I'm just in the minority here. You know that commercial I showed you where he goes, what does he say?
Oh baby, Wario! Destroy Mario!
It's a really freaky commercial, and I think Wario used to be scary, used to be frightening, used to be an actual threat. So with that said, let's dive into a quick short video as I explain to you why Wario was in fact a menace at one point and why he's sort of not anymore. What do you think?
Yeah.
Start the tape.
Let's go.
Obey me, Wario. I am your master. Mario is your enemy.
The wicked imposter Wario has cast an evil spell over Mario Land.
Remember when Wario was legitimately scary? Remember when Wario was actually a threat to Mario? Not the garlic burping, bike riding goofball we see now, but a genuine menace. I'm talking Super Mario Land 2 6 golden coins, 1992, Game Boy.
Don't let Mario get the 6 golden coins. Don't let Mario reach the palace.
This is the biggest, most dangerous, most challenging Game Boy adventure yet.
That was the year we met him. Not as comic relief, not as a joke, but as a dark reflection of Mario himself. See, Wario wasn't just another enemy. He was Mario's equal. Same build, same abilities, but twisted by greed and jealousy. He'd taken over Mario's own castle, brainwashed the citizens of Mario Land, and turned everything cheerful and familiar into something warped. Every level felt a little darker, a little stranger. You weren't saving a princess this time. You were fighting to take back your home from someone who knew you and hated you. And then there was that commercial.
Obey Wario. Destroy Mario.
Don't fall under Wario's evil spell in Super Mario Land 2, only on Game Boy.
If you were a kid in the early 90s, you remember it. How could you not? Wario staring right at you through the screen. Those hypnotic, swirling eyes, that mocking voice, ordering you, don't let Mario reach the palace. It wasn't just advertising, it was psychological warfare. Nintendo let this cartoon villain speak directly to us, and it felt wrong. He wasn't funny, he was unsettling. You could almost believe that if you kept playing, he might reach through the screen. For a few short years, Wario carried that energy, a trickster who might actually win. His laughter had bite. His greed had weight. He felt like a curse hanging over Mario's perfect world. But then came 1994. Wario Land, Super Mario Land 3. That was the turning point.
You're getting very greedy. You are me, Wario. You're very handsome. You have amazing powers. Plunder and pillage pirates' treasure. Bag up 1,000,000,000 coins. Buy me a castle bigger than Mario's.
Suddenly, he wasn't out to destroy Mario. He was out to get rich. Still selfish, still bad, but funny.
Repeat after me. I'm the bad guy in Wario Land, Super Mario Land 3, where being bad is good and greed is good. Come and get it on Game Boy, greedy.
His rage softened into gluttony. His menace turned into mischief. The world around him brightened. He was less a villain and more a slob chasing treasure. And from there, WarioWare, Mario Kart, Smash Bros. These days, his biggest attack is flatulence. His kingdom of corruption became a gag reel. The same man who once stared into our souls now sells microgames and laughs at his own stink. But if you were there, if you remember that commercial, that eerie grin, that castle shrouded in pixelated malice, you know the truth. Once upon a time, Wario wasn't funny. He was frightening. And maybe that's what made him so great.
Obey Wario. Destroy Mario.
Listen, we all know that Castlevania Symphony of the Night is a great game. It's a masterpiece, okay? If the game I'm holding in my hand didn't exist, that would be the best game of all time as far as the Castlevania series goes. But it's not. So with that said, you guys know I had to do it. Castlevania 4 is the supreme Castlevania game of all time. Right, Mia? Come here. Come here. Hi. But did you know that since this is a remake of the first game, it's not actually a fourth entry. It's not a sequel to Castlevania 1 or 2 or 3. It is actually a remake of the first game. It's not a sequel, not a requel, not a revision. Well, it's exactly a revision, but it's a remake. It's not a sequel. So with that said, it shares the same story technically as the first game, as the original 1986 or 87 classic. Which means this, in fact, is, drumroll, I'm going to blow your mind, an Easter story. Can you believe it? Confused? You should be. Let me explain. When exactly does Castlevania, the very first game in the series, take place? We know it's 1691, somewhere in the shadowed hills of Transylvania. But what if I told you it's Easter? Yes, canonically, Castlevania, released in 1986, unfolds during the Easter season. The game's original manual and companion lore confirm it. In the spring of 1691, during an Easter carnival, a group of dark worshippers performed a forbidden ritual, a black mass, inside a monastery. Their goal was blasphemy itself, to resurrect Count Dracula on the holiest day of the Christian calendar. Easter is the celebration of Christ's resurrection, the victory of light over death. But in Castlevania, that light is perverted. Where Christ rose to save mankind, Dracula rises to curse it. It's an inversion, a dark mirror of faith. The holy resurrection met with an unholy one. Simon Belmont's quest, then, isn't just a monster hunt. It's a spiritual war. His whip, the vampire killer, is adorned with crosses and holy water, symbols of divine retribution. Each strike isn't merely against a vampire, it's against sacrilege itself. This clash between the sacred and the damned set the tone for the entire franchise. It's why Castlevania drips with cathedrals, rosaries, and crucifixes. It's horror built on the bones of theology, a world where the most sacred symbols of salvation become weapons in a gothic nightmare. Now, what about Super Castlevania 4, the so-called fourth game, released in 1991? Though many fans treat it as a sequel, it's actually a retelling of that same story. a remake, not a continuation. And while it recreates the events of the first game, it doesn't specify Easter as the setting. By then, the focus had shifted from the religious allegory to the gameplay itself. Still, the echo remains. Every time Dracula's castle rises, it's a mockery of rebirth, a dark parody of Easter morning. The unholy resurrection that began in 1986 established Castlevania's eternal rhythm, light versus darkness, faith versus resurrection. So yes, Castlevania began on Easter, a twisted resurrection in pixel form, a holy day turned inside out. And that single act of blasphemy still echoes through every whip crack, every organ chord, and every midnight resurrection that followed. What I want to know is, did you guys have some of these spooky books when you were a kid? And did you read them during Halloween season? Now, before I show you this stack of miscellaneous spooky/Halloween books, a lot of these aren't kids' books. A lot of these books are books that are adult books or novels that I bought as a kid. Whether it be me nagging my mom or grandma to buy them for me because they were spooky, for one thing, and second of all, they had really creepy covers, or they were attached to an IP that I loved, like Alien or Mars Attacks, etc. A lot of these books I've never read, at least entirely, because I got them when I was way too young and never sort of went back to them. But they've been on my shelves ever since. Luckily, I still own this, at least this stack of books. And I want to know if you guys have read or own any of these spooky classics yourselves. And if you do, let me know in the comments below. To me, Halloween season is still complete without these books, but these books are such a part of the iconography of my bookshelf since I was a kid, and I associate them with the Halloween season. What is the point I'm trying to make with that? I have no idea, but let's get to it. Let's start with one of the older books in my collection. This is called The Figure in the Shadows. This was actually passed down to me from my grandma, a little spooky collection. This is from, I think this was my mom or uncle's book when they were kids. And this is from 1975. Text by John Belaris, drawings by Mercer Mayer. Spooky little book. Front and back artwork. Very cool. Very good stuff. It's from the Weekly Reader Children's Book Club, whatever that means. Very cool. Very, very cool. Next, we have two classics on my shelves. We have the Mars Attacks, War Dogs of the Golden Horde. I have never read this. I have no idea if it's good. But back in my Mars Attacks craze in the 90s, I got these books, specifically from Walden's books, along with this one, Martian Death Trap. Really cool artwork on the cover. The Martians sort of look like the Image Martians from the comics books by Image. Very, very good stuff. Again, haven't read them. Here's the Mars Attacks movie novelization from back in the day. Again, I'm not a huge fan of the movie. I'm much more a fan of the Mars Attacks comic books and trading cards, but bizarre movie nonetheless, right? Bizarre movie nonetheless. This too, the next one is from Walden's books, and it is the novelization of Alien Resurrection on paperback. Never read it. Very cool. I think I bought this before the movie came out because I was so stoked at the time. We have here Bruce Coville's Book of Ghosts, Tales to Haunt You. Fun stuff. Not as good as Scary Stories and stuff like that, but still good. Still good. We have another one, Bruce Coville's Book of Monsters, Tales to Give You the Creeps. That's sort of a semi-iconic cover. I remember seeing this a lot at Books A Million and Walden's books, I believe. Both of them scholastic. Next, we have the infamous The Screaming Skull. I think one of the many reprints of that book. I think there's a bunch of different releases and variations of the novel. Never read it. I've heard it's a very good book, but I need to sit down and read it. Oh, it seems rather short. Oh, look, there's a bookmark in it. Grow with Books, National Library Week 1974. That's cool. I don't know where that came from, but the book is not from 74 because I remember buying this from Eckerd's when I was 7 or 8 years old. So that's bizarre. R.L. Stein, Fear Street series, Cat. Never read it. Have no idea if it's good. This is from Walmart. Looks like an old Walmart tag. Yep. This was $2.98 at the time for this little miniature paperback R.L. Stein book. We have R.L. Stein's Halloween Night 2. I think I used to own the first one also with the pumpkin on the cover, but if I did, I'd lost it. No idea where it is. But Halloween Night 2, this cover always blew my mind. Never read the book, but when the movies that just came out, I think they were called the Fear Street movies. I thought that the skeleton guys were based on this cover, and then I learned later that this wasn't even really a Fear Street book, so I'm not really sure if it's supposed to be tied in or not, but it's got to be at least an homage, right? That's too close to the movie, the Fear Street movie, I'm assuming. I could be wrong. Next on the list, in this stack, I have the Graveyard School Scream Team. I think there was a bunch of these books. I remember the Graveyard School logo, but this is the only book I ever owned. I think I read this. I don't remember too much about it. It's got some kind of a custom sticker that I put on there when I was a little kid, like a pink dinosaur thing. But very cool. It seems pretty used, so I'm pretty sure I own this book. But I think there was a whole series of Graveyard School from Tom B. Stone. Tombstone. Get it? Tom B. Stone, Tombstone. We have the novelization of the infamous Halloween Tree by Ray Bradbury. Obviously, I'm not sure if this is condensed from the actual novel he wrote. I'm pretty sure it started as a children's book by Ray Bradbury. I'm not sure if the original book was long or not. I haven't read it. The text in here is pretty... It's not small, it's not big, it's pretty moderately sized, so it wouldn't take too long to read this. So I'm not sure if this is condensed from the original Ray Bradbury book or not. I have to go back and check, but this is based on the movie novelization, or the novelization of the movie, I should say, made for young readers. I got this. This might have even come with the VHS I owned from the movie. I think this came inside of it. I could be wrong, but I think this came with it. It seems like one of those promo books. But yeah, there it is. The Halloween Tree. Next we have Gross Grub, which is sort of a gross cookbook. A gross kids Halloween cookbook with gross stuff in there like main courses, like really nasty stuff. Like sicko serving, day-old bathwater, fabric softener smoothie, stuff like that. Classic. I've never actually made any of these. It would be fun to try and make them with Isabella. That would be a blast. But really nasty stuff. Classic. And last in this stack is Super Scary Stories for Sleepovers number 5. I don't own the other ones. I don't remember buying this book. I think this was maybe given to me. I'm not sure from where, but pretty cool stuff. Decent artwork inside. The minimal artwork there is. It's decent enough. Black and white like charcoal or pencil drawings. But yeah, Scary Stories for Sleepovers. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is my stack of miscellaneous horror/Halloween novels and kids' books. Oh, guys, we have a visitor. Mia's here. Mia, come here.
Mia, come here.
Mia, come here. Come here. Mia has arrived.
We have a visitor. It's my little sister.
Here she is. Say hello.
Mia!
Say hi. Okay. So the next segment we're going to move on to is a little crazy video I made about how voodoo affected the origins of Jaws 4. It's insane. Do you hear me, Goober? Voodoo. Can you believe it?
I have a game that says at the beginning it says voodoo.
Really? Mia, can you believe it? It's voodoo. It is based on voodoo. Yep. Let's roll the tape. Most people know Jaws the Revenge as the much-maligned 1987 sequel where the shark magically follows the Brody family from Amity to the Bahamas. The film itself has become infamous for its nonsensical premise, continuity errors, and the odd psychic link Ellen Brody seems to have with the shark. But here's the kicker. If you pick up the novelization by Hank Searles, the same author who novelized Jaws 2, you get a completely different explanation. And it's not just a little tweak, it's a full-on dive into the supernatural. In the book, the shark's behavior is not random, nor is it just nature gone wrong. Instead, it's under the influence of a voodoo curse cast by a Haitian witch doctor named Papa Jacques. The whole thing reframes the story. The shark isn't acting out of personal revenge, because let's be real, sharks don't hold grudges. Instead, it's literally a weapon, a mystical instrument of Jacques' anger against the Brody family after Michael insults him. That single change flips the entire meaning of the title. The revenge isn't the shark's, it's Papa Jacques'. This voodoo storyline was actually pulled from early drafts of the screenplay. The filmmakers flirted with a supernatural explanation to account for the shark's bizarre, homing missile behavior. Imagine it, a thriller with sharks and black magic, post-colonial revenge, psychic connections, and curses. When Hank Searle sat down to adapt the movie into prose, he had access to those earlier drafts and ran with it. Film scholar I.Q. Hunter even points out that in this interpretation, the story becomes one of post-colonial revenge. The shark is no longer the antagonist, it's a pawn. That explains why in the film there are these weird vestigial references, like Michael Brody saying, "Come on, sharks don't commit murder. Tell me you don't believe in that voodoo." That line, bizarrely out of place in a movie otherwise pretending to be realistic, is a fossil of this scrapped storyline. The film dropped the voodoo outright, thinking it was too corny for mainstream audiences, but the novel kept it, making the whole plot way more cohesive than the movie itself. The details are even wilder. In the novel, the shark is literally given a name: Vengeance. Papa Jock curses the Brodies after Michael insults him as a fake and a con man. Ellen's psychic link to the shark, which comes off as bizarre in the movie, is explicitly explained as part of the curse. Michael's daughter Thea even falls under its sway, slipping into a trance that draws her toward the sea, where vengeance is waiting. The book also piles in expanded subplots, such as Hoagie being a money-laundering government agent and Jake actually dying during his encounter with the shark, as originally intended in the film's script. All of this makes the book read like a pulpy supernatural thriller rather than the limp film we actually got, and here's the crazy part: the novelization is the only place where this entire voodoo explanation exists in full form. The movie ditched it, and the result was a shark sequel that baffled audiences because it gave no reason for the shark's bizarre vendetta. Fans have spent decades mocking Jaws: The Revenge for being incoherent, when in reality it was only incoherent because Universal decided to strip away the voodoo plot and leave the bones behind. So there's an alternate reality where Jaws: The Revenge is remembered not just as a bad sequel, but as the gonzo shark meets black magic horror movie it almost was. Imagine how differently people would talk about the franchise today if that version had made it to the screen. The Jaws: The Revenge novelization isn't just a tie-in paperback, it's a window into a version of the movie that never left the script stage. A version where a Haitian witch doctor cursed the Brodies, where the shark was a magical weapon named Vengeance, and where the subtitle The Revenge actually meant something. Check out this really creepy Christmas novelty footage I recorded way back in the day, and I figured it would be perfect to showcase to you all here. Let's take a look. Alright, picture this. You're at a Halloween party, and everyone's talking about The Nightmare Before Christmas, Hocus Pocus, or Beetlejuice. But then, you step forward, eyes gleaming, and drop this line. Yeah, but have you ever seen Grinch Night? Silence. confusion, a few nervous chuckles. Nobody knows what you're talking about, and that's exactly the point. You've just brought up one of the strangest, most haunting, and most forgotten pieces of Dr. Seuss lore ever animated. Released in 1977, more than a decade after How the Grinch Stole Christmas, Halloween is Grinch Night is technically a prequel, though calling it that feels like describing a fever dream as a flashback. It's set before the Grinch's heart grows 3 sizes, back when he's still pure, unfiltered malice, a swampy, green manifestation of chaos who climbs down Mount Crumpet, not to steal presents, but just to scare the living daylights out of Whoville for fun. And unlike the Christmas special's hopeful warmth, this one is all sour winds, growling beasts, and trippy visuals straight out of a late 70s acid experiment. It's a Halloween story built on paranoia and dread. The Whos literally barricade themselves inside their homes because they know what's coming. This isn't "You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch." This is "The wind smells wrong and the monsters are awake." Here's where it gets wild. Halloween is Grinch Night directly conflicts with the Christmas special. Max, the loyal little dog who helps steal Christmas, leaves the Grinch at the end of this one. He just walks away. But come December in How the Grinch Stole Christmas, there he is again, pulling the sleigh like nothing happened. So, is Grinch Night an alternate timeline? A reboot before reboots were cool? Maybe it's a cautionary tale from an unhealed universe before the Grinch's heart grew, before Cindy Lou Who, before redemption. It's canon only if you squint, and that's what makes it fascinating. A forgotten, dark side of the Grinch that's never been revisited. Then there's the Spooks Tour, a scene so bizarre and unsettling that it feels like Dr. Seuss took a detour through Fantasia and Eraserhead on the way to Whoville. The Grinch opens his paraphernalia wagon, and suddenly the whole screen is writhing with surreal, kaleidoscopic monsters. Kids' TV in the 70s was built different. And in the middle of it all is Euchoria, a timid Who kid with foggy glasses who literally stands his ground against a walking nightmare. He stalls the Grinch long enough for the wind to die down, and the Grinch, robbed of his excuse to cause chaos, retreats, muttering that he'll be back. So, next time October rolls around, skip Hocus Pocus 2 for one night. Fine, Halloween is Grinch Night. It's weird, unsettling, and kind of brilliant. It's Dr. Seuss's lost descent into the macabre, equal parts whimsical and existential. And it deserves more than to sit, dusty and unremembered, in the shadow of Christmas. Alright guys, that was a really, really fun Halloween special. I had a lot of good time making it. What about you, Goober?
I had a bunch of fun, exciting fun.
It was really good.
Yeah.
Happy Halloween 2025 to everybody out there watching. We will see you back again next year for the TobattoVision Halloween special.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
We hope your costumes are good.
That's right. Have a good, safe rest of your evening, and we will see you guys soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.